Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to episode 539 of the DrunkNerds podcast. As always, I'm Tyler, and join me, we have the man, the myth, the legend himself, Sir Colonel Gables. What's up, buddy?
Oh man, I'll tell you what. I'm feeling pretty good. Feeling pretty good. Work week done. Everything else all squared into shape. Now on my weekend stuff, so that I'm much looking forward to. Got to go on a meeting or something like that Monday with my boss. But at the same point, anything else everything else is going pretty good at this moment in time. How have you been doing, Tyler?
Better now. Better now. No, I'm doing okay. What I mean? It's clanging and banging as always. Had to go back to work this past week after being on vacation the week prior, so that was a
Oh yeah.
little depressing. But whatever. Back to the swing of things, I guess. But doing okay. Like I said, clanging and banging. Just watched the WWE Elimination Chamber. It was
Yep.
a really entertaining show. Really great main event. Um, but yeah, other than that, nothing too super crazy. But Gables, I did get something cool in the mail today or the other day.
Mhm.
Um,
All
I
right.
got my Extra Life
Hey,
silver medal.
there you
Um,
go.
so for audio listeners, we do our Extra Life event every year. You raise $500, you get the silver. You raise 1,000, you get a gold. So I got my third silver medal. I got a gold back there somewhere. It's over there. You can't see it in the for you video listeners. You can't see it, but it's over there. So yeah, no, I got four of these. Yeah, four of these. All together. Wait, yeah, four altogether. Could have five, but I was $35 short 1 year. God damn it, 2019. Still not over it yet. But yeah, it's cool to have another one of these bad boys. It smells good. Too. I'm gonna bite it like a Olympic gold medalist. That hurt. That was stupid. Uh, but
Oh, my teeth.
yeah, I haven't gone to the dentist in like 16 years. Maybe I shouldn't do that. But yeah, no, it's been a nice little week. But so we're gonna do something a little different tonight, though. So
Yeah.
not a lot of news going on. We've been pretty spoiled this year so far. With like it's been a lot of games coming out, a lot of news. So it's been pretty like Gables. I talked to Gables about this like I don't know 6 8 weeks ago about doing what let's predict what do we think our top 10 games of the year will be for the year.
Okay.
And I talked to you like I said, like beginning of the year into last year about doing this. I'm like, oh, I'm sure mid January there's gonna be nothing going on, and we could do it then. And it's just like, well, we're just gonna punt it. We're just gonna keep punting it. We keep punting it. So here we are. Weeks finally come where not a lot of stuff going on. A couple of smaller things, but we got some NPDs, we got some Ubisoft stuff going on here, and a lot of other news this week. But nothing big. Uh, so yeah, I figured yeah, this would be a fun little thing. So what we're gonna do is we are predicting our top 10 games of 2023. Now some of the parameters we have here, we're not putting them in order. We're not gonna do like my number 10,
Right.
like that. But we will try to predict what we think our game of the year will be.
Okay.
Uh, and we're sticking to games that are announced and that have at least slated for 2023. Um,
Right.
some of these games obviously could already be out. And some of these games, like I mean, there's gonna be games later this year that will come out that we didn't even know anything about in on as of February 18th, 2023. I'm sure we're gonna get some announcements soon, or at at PlayStation Showcase or E3 or Summer Game Fest, whatever. But some games we might predict on our list might get delayed next year.
That's very
Very
true too.
likely. So yeah, that's why we're sticking with that. But yeah, these are just kind of predictions where we are, in mid-February for what we think could be our list. Gables, do you want to kick off with your list? Do you want me to kick off with my list?
You know what? Let's kick off with your list because I'm kind of interested in hearing
Okay,
what you think is going to be your game of the year stuff.
okay. So for a quick caveat, I did not put Final Fantasy VII Rebirth on my list, even though it is slated for winter 2023. In Japan, winter 2023 goes all the way until March. They go by the calendar,
Hmm.
like the winter solstice stuff. So I didn't count that. But I will admit, if that does come out this year, that's probably going to be my game of the year. If they don't fuck it up, please don't fuck it up. But here's what I have in no specific order. Uh, I think my top 10 will be this year. Dead Space, obviously, already played
Hmm.
that one. Love that game. Already on my top 10 list, even though I've only played like 2 games this year. 3 games this year. Star Wars Jedi Survivor. I'm being trying to be a little hopeful for. I did not. Fallen Order barely made my top 10 list 2019. I'm hopeful from what we've seen so far. That game is looking better, and I think the game could be really cool. And I've been really low on Star Wars for a very long time, and it'd be nice to be excited about something Star Wars again. Zelda Tears of the Kingdom is also on my list. Will that rank higher than seventh, where its predecessor did? Who knows? Um, Spider-Man 2 also on that list. I love Spider-Man 2018. Love Miles Morales even more. And if they can just the two of them together, teaming up, facing Venom,
Hmm.
that sounds amazing to me. And if they can just build upon that, uh, it feels like they got a pretty good system here, and I think it's pretty hard to fuck up. So that's kind of where I'm at with that one. Replaced. I'm hopeful. I'm just hopeful this game comes this year. That game looks fucking amazing. Obviously, they were supposed to come out last year, and then they're a company based out of Ukraine. That's that. So it's a 2D game, shooter, like action adventure, cyberpunk style shooter game. Um, but that game looks incredible. If you haven't seen it, go watch some trailers for it because that game looks like it'll be amazing. It's slated to come out the first half of this year. It's coming to Game Pass. But yeah, I'm just that one's oh man, just please give it to me. Hi-Fi Rush, probably my game of the year right now. Going, but this is a game. This is what I mean. Like we're talking about, like there's a lot of games that could end up our actual top 10 list that we didn't know existed. Like Hi-Fi Rush, we didn't know existed until it was out, and then we all played it, and then we all loved it. So, yeah, that game was fan fucking tastic. And like just like Dead Space, find it hard to believe that game won't be in my top five. Next up, Final Fantasy 16. This is a weird one for me because I'm not typically a Final Fantasy fan, even though I love Final Fantasy 7 and Strangers of Paradise.
Well, yeah.
Uh, but I didn't. I don't know. I've talked about several times. I beat the original Final Fantasy games, the first two, on when they came to Game Boy Advance way back when. But I tried playing Final Fantasy 3 on DS. I've tried playing some other ones, but it's like typically not for me. But even like I replayed OG Final Fantasy 7 last year, and like I liked it a lot just because I love remakes so much. But like I could definitely I don't think that'd be a game I would have gone back to otherwise. So this is like just me, like maybe there's like some of that like wish casting going on here, but everything I've seen for that game, the game looks like it could be really cool. Um, Atomic Heart, that's actually a game's coming out next week. I'm excited to play. I
Hmm.
love the vibe that game's giving off. I always kind of like like the vibe of like a Ukrainian or like that Russia like style of a game shows off. Like I love it when games kind of use that. Like I kind of like fucking Metro or the stuff we've seen from Stalker 2. I kind of like that style
Right.
that we see from those games. I'm just really or even like Wolfenstein with like the alternate history stuff. I love that kind of like that style that they kind of show off, and everything we've seen like Atomic Heart just looks like kind of gives me those vibes of those games, but like also Bioshock gameplay. So I don't know. Fucking sounds like, in theory, sounds amazing. Let's hope it is. Another game here, AEW Fight Forever. This is a game I'm hoping. It's been coming soon for like I swear 22 years now. Um, but everything we see for that game looks like it could be a lot of fun. We don't have a date. It's some rumors about May, but there's been rumors it's coming out this month forever. Um, but yeah, man, like if they can just nail that N64 WWF No Mercy style, it's hard to believe this game isn't in my top 10 list. This isn't a game I'm gonna be playing for several hours. Gables and I fucking playing each other. Like it just, I feel like this is like a shoe in. If they can just nail that style, but also have plenty of like stuff to keep us going. Good creating system, good match
Yeah.
quality, good different types of matches, and then maybe like a good single player mode as well on top of all that could really um, do a lot. But overall, I think my game of the year will be it was my game of the year once before a long time ago, almost 20 years ago. It's coming out next month. Resident Evil 4. Um, that's as of right now. That's what I'm thinking. My game of the year. No shock there. I think everything we've seen of that game looks fantastic. Everything I'm hearing about the game looks incredible. Sounds incredible. It's It's very rare for me to go on like a full like blackout on a game where it's like I don't want to know anymore about what's going on with that game. Like they just
Right?
like the big like they were the cover thing for Game Informer. They did like a bunch of interviews, a bunch of gameplay came out for that for all that. Like there's like 15 minutes of gameplay. And I know you watch it, Gables.
Yes, I did.
It's like I don't want to know anything else about it. I don't want to know anything. I don't want to know about the fucking QTE stuff. I don't want to know about the knife fight. I don't want to know anything else. I just want to experience that game so fucking badly. So yeah, I think that will be my game of the year for 2023 as of now. And as of February 18th, that's what I think my game of the year will be Resident Evil 4. Gibbles, hit me with your list, buddy.
All right, here's the thing about my list. There are a couple different games I would actually think that could be contenders for actual game of the year for me, but on my list, what I think is going to be on my list entirely so far, it's like Dead Space Remastered. Obviously, that game is freaking fantastic. Definitely want to play more and finish up that one. Fire Emblem Engage, it's the same thing and stuff where I love that style of like strategy RPGs and stuff. I really liked how the gameplay loop is going so far inside of that. I highly expect that possibly to enter my top 10. As in regards to any games that's going to be currently releasing this year, I mean, obviously Street Fighter 6, that's a huge
Oh
one for
yeah.
me because this is the first one since Street Fighter 4 where I really feel like I'm going to be invested inside of it come launch day. After Street Fighter 5 and its botched launch, and they didn't really, where it's Capcom really didn't fix that either until like about 2 to 4 years later.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, this is looking like Street Fighter 6 is looking like one of the best fighting games in quite a long while. From the initial looks, from how Capcom's been presenting it, how it's been going through and introduced in terms of its beta testing mode and stuff that it had like a couple months back. A lot of positivity coming out of the new fighters being introduced. A lot of positivity, like a lot of the new courses and new designs and stuff. So I am obviously looking very much forward to Street Fighter 6. Final Fantasy 16, that's another game that I feel like
Oh
could be on my game of the year list because one, I do love my fair share of good Final Fantasy games here. That's the thing about me. It's like you played through 1 and 2 back in the day. Me, I played through 4, 5, and 6, which are the equivalent of the Super Nintendo, Super Famicom style of RPGs
yeah.
that were back in the mid 90s. For me, it's like it's kind of like a callback to something like right before the original kind of Final Fantasy games, because this is more or less, it seemed like to me like the more of a game, a more Final Fantasy game, like in terms of the origin story of a lot of those different summons that are inside the main series. You know, like you have like Odin or Ifrit or like Shiva and like all these other characters that are introduced. But I do like the whole dark grittiness of Final Fantasy 16. The whole look of that looks fantastic. I'm very much looking forward to experiencing the gameplay loop of it because I'm kind of curious to see how the battles are going to be. How are they going to sustain me for like long durations of time? Whether
Yeah.
or not the story is going to be engaging enough to keep me wanting to be involved in it hour after hour. Let's see. Trying to think of something else right over here because I've already went through like what, four
Yeah, you're
different
foreign.
ones here. So I'm like about four in. But honestly, if I really had to if I really have to make a good, honest to God guess and stuff, Sea of Stars could potentially be on my Game of the Year's list because it has a lot of the things that I love about old school RPGs, where it's like turn based, you have this excellent artwork, excellent music, you have the composer that did the same thing for Chrono Trigger back on Super Nintendo, which I'm highly excited to listen to a lot of the different tracks from that. But it actually has that overall feel of like a well made, well tuned JRPG from back then. Having high hopes for that being on my game of the year list. I mean, Octopath Traveler 2, that could potentially be on my game of the year list as well. That's been getting its reviews going on over the past week. Fairly good, fairly decent and stuff like
It's like an
that in terms
86, I
of
think, or 85, somewhere in there.
yeah, yeah, exactly. And it's more of the same thing quintessential like the original was, which that's kind of like what I wanted to do, you know. Didn't have a chance really to experience the original one, but I really want to play the second one. Obviously, Spider-Man 2 is definitely something that I want to play because I absolutely loved the original like Spider-Man game on PS4 back in like 2020, playing through the entirety of that game and its DLC combat and stuff, getting the platinum trophy for that thing because it was excellent. Loved how that game how that game's pacing was. Loved how the mission, the stories and stuff, and even the side missions were worthwhile. A lot of that stuff. So I'm definitely looking forward to more of Spider-Man later on this year. But there's actually there's actually like maybe like a remake that could potentially make it on there, and like it may not be the one that you would think, right? Because the automatic thing that you would think is maybe like a Metroid Prime or something like that, right? But I'm talking about more like I'm talking more like a Dragon Ishin, and
Oh,
that's
okay.
something that has been kind of festering in the back of my mind because I had a chance to watch a bit of the gameplay videos of that thing going on and stuff. It's a remake from a game that was on the PS3 back around like oh god, before the Yakuza games made it big over here in the West.
Yeah.
That never came out from Japan up until this year. The thing about it is like the combat looks cool. It looks like really heavily over the top and stuff like that. It's basically Yakuza inside of a Edo Japan sort of setting and stuff, which that kind of pacing sounds pretty cool because you have a lot of the you kind of have a lot of the same kind of quirks and stuff with the mini games and a lot of the same type of interesting things in terms of the combat and stuff, but it looks a lot more faster, quick paced. Kind of interested in trying out the demo that they got currently. I have it downloaded on my PS5. Haven't had a chance to experience the combat one, but I'm definitely having a lot of interesting thoughts like about that. Okay, what does that lead up here? Was that what 6, 7 or something like that?
You're at one, two, three, four, five, six, seven. You're at eight.
Okay, so I'm on 8 right now, correct?
Well, you said eight, so
Okay,
you're
I've
on
said
nine.
8, so I'm gonna be on 9. Honestly, 9 is probably gonna be probably the Resident Evil 4 remake. Honestly, that's the other remake that's been festering in my head as well. And the thing about it is, it's been one of those unsung secrets with me that I played Resident Evil 4 back then. I played plenty of it, but at the same point and stuff, when I see this remaster, it makes me want to play through. It makes me feel like it's engaging enough to where I feel like I want to experience the whole of this game. It feels like this game was meant to be portrayed like it is right now coming out for the PS5 and all the other systems. Like the combat stuff's not going to keep me back from wanting to play it. A lot of the pacing stuff's not going to keep me back from wanting to play it and stuff. This definitely has a big potential to be on my game of the year list. But I feel like my overall game of the year, it's not going to be a surprise to you, Tyler, and probably some of the other listeners here. It's going to be
Pikmin
Legend of
4.
Zelda: Tears of the
Oh,
Kingdom.
yeah.
Well, you know what? That could also be an honorable mention, Advance Wars. But
No Forspoken I see on your list here. Oh,
oh, oh no, maybe it was on like a fire burn sale. But anyway, in
wow.
regards to Tears of the Kingdom, yeah, I mean, come on, it's a sequel to the game that I rated number 2, the game of the year on my game of the year list when that came out under
2017, yeah.
Mario
Yeah.
hover Super Mario Odyssey and stuff. But at the same time, man, it's like there's a lot of mystery and intrigue about that game still that I'm still kind of wrapping my head around it. I know Nintendo's going to go through and have some sort of blowout before that game launches. I mean, it's kind of inevitable in my honest opinion, but I'm still heavily excited to play the game. It's more of what I want. The original Breath of the Wild with a bunch of like interesting kind of like evolutions based upon certain things that they've improved upon the last game. I treat this like the Majora's Mask to the Ocarina of Time. So yeah, with Ocarina of Time being Breath of the Wild and this one being Majora's Mask, that's the thing. This is going to be probably. I kind of feel like this game is going to become my game of the year, and subsequently probably remember years from now as like that game that tried a couple other crazy ass type of things and stuff, and people were more feel like this is their favorite Zelda, sort of like a dark horse thing for their favorite Zelda stuff, kind of like how similar people portray Majora's Mask, thinking that oh this game was a better game, but even though people kind of subsequently think Ocarina of Time is better because of the lack of the whole 3D mechanic, but still.
Gables, hear me out. Hear me out here.
What? What?
What if instead of the Ocarina of Time to the Majora's Mask, what if instead we're looking at a Wind Waker to Phantom Hourglass situation?
Oh, Jesus Christ. Oh, man. When you made that comparison, man, my brain almost had an aneurysm. Cause yeah, man, high school Gables back then was so excited to play Phantom Hourglass, and let me
Dude.
tell you, I still have that copy in Spirit Tracks right on my
Oh, I'm
shelf
so sorry.
here.
I was so
And the thing
excited for
about
that game. I bought the hardback edition of the collector's or the was it the walkthrough, the guide.
yeah,
I bought the
yeah,
fucking hardback edition of that one. I was
yep.
so pumped. It was like $40. I bought it. It was more expensive than the goddamn game, but I bought it. I was so pumped for that fucking thing, and I hated it. Every fiber of
Well,
my being.
that's the thing, man. I mean, who wants to write on your goddamn touchscreen in order to try to go forth and try to
Right?
map things out so you can go and do an adventure game, you know?
Remember Metroid
But
Prime Hunter? God, that game was
yeah.
terrible. God, such a bad game. So excited.
Oh man.
It came with that demo and everything. It was supposed to be a launch game. Then it came with a demo when you bought a DS at
Yeah.
launch. And
Yeah,
that
you
demo
remember
was
that
so
time?
promising.
Yeah, do you remember the time and stuff when Nintendo, and this is gonna be for your listeners here that are probably not old enough to remember this, when Nintendo released Nintendo DS, it came with a demo for Metroid Prime Hunters. And the funniest part about it is it didn't have a stylus and stuff. You could use technically a stylus, but it had a little thumb nub that it
Hmm.
was a thumb strap to where you could actually
I
move
forgot about
the
the
thing
thumb
up on the
strap.
touch screen.
Oh my god,
That
yeah.
was their that was Nintendo's idea of substituting a stylus by having a little thumb nub. So when you went to go and aim with the shooter thing, you had to do it with your right thumb instead of being on the with a dual analog.
I remember they had like left-hander
Oh,
controller
yes.
controls too, and it was just like I'm a left-hander, I'm a lefty, and it sucked. That whole era sucked. Uh,
In terms
God.
of shooters.
Yeah, well, yeah, but I mean, just like some of the
On
motion shit they did
handhelds.
with the Wii, and then it's like, come on, what are we doing here? Uh, God,
Oh.
so frustrating. Yeah, Phantom Hourglass though.
The
I
stuff the Nintendo fans had to go through
yeah,
back around in the Wii and DS era.
yeah,
And even before then.
yeah. It was crazy. There's people that defend Spirit Track and Phantom Hourglass. It's like, come on, come on. We have
To be
free.
fair, I haven't played through the entirety of either game though, but yet at the same time, I
Shouldn't have
played
to.
enough of Phantom Hourglass to where I didn't really feel like I wanted to play it much more after the first couple hours.
Yeah, no. I think I beat the first temple. And I'm like, you know what? I'm done. I'm done. And if I keep playing it, I'm not getting my touchscreen's gonna be so scratched up because of my stylus that I won't be able to use this fucking thing. But anyways, that was our oddly enough our 2023 Game of the Year predictions. Somehow turned into Phantom Hourglass conversation. But yeah, so Gables got Zelda. I got Resident Evil 4 as our
Hmm.
predicting our Game of the Year. So, but Gables, let's jump into some NPDs here.
Alrighty.
All right. So we're looking at January here. So a couple. They never always end. They never end on uh, like the 30th, or the last day of the month. It's always like usually like the last Friday of the month. So sometimes it will, or like sometimes it's like it might end earlier in the like. So this case in January 28th. Some
Hmm.
months it might go a couple days into the following month. So sometimes it's kind of weird the way that works out. But so we might see some weird stuff pop up here. Starting here, number 20, jumping all the way from 27, jumping it back in that top 20. NHL 23. Number 19, Spider-Man Miles Morales. We've seen a huge bump for PS5 sales last quarter, but
Yes.
especially like in the December month there with the holidays. And it's the thing I've been talking about. Like it's Miles Morales is the Mario Kart of the PS5. Not to the level, at least yet, to that, but
But
it's
it's one of the games that you would think that
yeah,
when you buy a PS5, that's one of the first showcase games that you buy for it.
yeah. That like I think Miles Morales and Horizon Forbidden West are probably like the two
Yep.
games now God of War, but
Well, three with God of War Ragnarok,
yeah,
yes.
but I mean pretty fucking awesome list if you don't if you ask me there. But yeah, if you're just not gonna PS5, whoo buddy. Um, But coming in here, number 18, NBA 2K23. Take Two does not give out digital sales, so that
Hmm.
could be part of the reason why it's dropped down. It was 11th, it dropped down to 18th. Number 12, dropped from, or number 17 rather, it dropped from 12. Just Dance 2023. Give us. I forgot to do a share screen here, so give me a second. And
Okie dokie.
I will share my screen with you. If
So Just Dance
Yeah,
2023.
Just Dance 2023. Sorry, folks. Here we go. Wait, okay. Well, why are we being stupid, computer? There we go. We're getting nope.
Every time I hear the name Just Dance,
God.
my mind goes numb because there's been way too many of them, and then
Yes.
eventually we'll just have Just Dance 40.
Yeah. Uh, Yeah, so where we at? Number 17 here, Just Dance 2023.
Okay.
Number 16, we have Need for Speed Unbound, dropped from number 8
Okay.
in December. Number 15, obviously, Minecraft. Number 14, Mario Kart 8, dropping down from
Yep.
9. A huge jump from number 68 last month to number 13, Monster Hunter Rise. Obviously, it
There
came
were
to,
some big sales.
yep, and then it came to Xbox and PlayStation last month as well. Um,
Yep.
it's on Game Pass as well. So
Yes, it is.
fuck, maybe I should play that game. Um, but yeah, I mean that's awesome. See that game get a nice little bump. No, some spoilers here. No Persona games though in the top 20. With three or
Right.
four. Um, but number 12, Sonic Frontiers holding steady in that top 20 list. They did say that Sonic Frontiers already has blown past what they were anticipating that Sonic Frontiers would do, and they said they're gonna kind of continue that formula, and they're actually gonna give it a bigger budget next time. So maybe there'll be a game in
Well,
there
good,
somewhere. Yeah.
considering this is probably one of their best 3D Sonic games they've had in years.
I mean, has there ever been a good 3D Sonic game though ever?
No, maybe
Not
not to the
Sonic
extent
06.
that we wanted.
Yeah.
It's it's
Um.
definitely better than Sonic Adventure.
Yeah. Yeah. Number 11, jumping all the way from 36. Last was part one. So obviously that the TV show been fantastic. But obviously this is exactly what we talked about. What happened is um, they are quadruple dipping here with the original game, then the remaster, then the remake,
Hmm.
and then the TV show. Um, and then the PC port comes out into next month, March 28th. So,
Oh,
well, what's five? Quadruple is four. Um, no, Octo is eight. I don't fucking know. It's whatever the fifth one is. Um,
okay.
so it's that. So hey, good for them. That show's been awesome. It's a fantastic game. So cool. More people are playing it. Dropping pretty substantial drop here, I gotta say here from number 2 to 10, Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. But I imagine like these are like imagine a lot of these games we see dropping where like some of these games I know for a fact like Sonic Frontiers was like heavily discounted um, last month, for
Hmm.
that for the holiday stretch. Pokemon Scarlet and Violet was probably a good game people were buying a Switch and buying Pokemon with. Now people aren't buying Switches anymore. People that want Pokemon probably have Pokemon. Say Mario Kart 8 that's bundled in with a Switch that dropped out of the top 10. So some of
Yep.
these games that you look at like okay that makes sense that like they're falling a little bit here. Number 9 though, weird one. Didn't see this coming. It seems to review them pretty well though. Pretty well for what it is. One Piece Odyssey. Um, I don't know
Yeah,
much about
that's
this.
actually
I just
surprising. It's
yeah.
inside of the top 10. Yes.
Yeah, so pretty awesome. For a game that it's an anime. I know it's one of the more popular ones, but this is a very niche game for
It's
the
also the
gaming.
longest running anime.
Yeah, isn't it like 1,500 episodes, something crazy like that?
Not 1500, but it's getting close to there.
Okay, yeah, it's just no, thank you. Um, Number 8, God of War Ragnarok was number 3, so a little bit of a drop
Hmm.
there, but like I said, a lot of these games are probably big, get that big holiday push, and then yeah. Next up here, number 7, game that Gables doesn't want to miss is Game of the Year, but it's actually his Game of the Year, Forspoken. Um, Makes sense. We actually had 4 brand new games in our top 10 here.
Yeah.
This is the second one so far announced that we've said. But hey, it makes sense. This game had it's a Square Enix game. It's got it's the Final Fantasy 15 devs. It's got a good marketing budget behind it. Makes sense in the top 10. I'm curious though if it's gonna be in the top 20 next month. I mean, this had about a week I think on the sales chart here for the NPDs. So I don't know. Maybe this is a game that like people that bought it or like me that already had it pre-ordered and played it, and there's not gonna have that tail afterwards. It's just like these are the day one buys and that's it. So I wouldn't be shocked. Like Callisto Protocol, like was like last month was like 15th or whatever in December, and it's nowhere to
Yeah,
be found in the top 20 list here. So it could be one of those things where everybody that played it already was like pre-ordered it, and word of mouth kind of killed any chance of it doing any better. Number 6, no shock here, Elden Ring, sticking around in that top 10 area. Number 5, another new game here, Gables game you already kind of mentioned, Fire
yep,
Emblem Engage. Um, Being top 5, hey, like makes sense. Like Fire Emblem is, I mean, they've done a great job in the last decade of making that like a
absolutely.
maybe not top tier, but like it's the tier below, like the Mario's and the Zeldas and the Mario Karts and stuff. Like it's definitely, I would say like it, I don't know, like is there a bigger IP that's not Mario,
Well, that's the
Zelda,
thing.
Mario Kart, or Smash for
It's
Nintendo?
definitely with. I feel like it's definitely within that top 10 in regard to their
Oh, easily top 10.
franchises.
But I'm thinking
Obviously,
it's maybe top 5. Eh,
you could argue that, yeah, top
well, maybe
five. I mean,
Splatoon. Splatoon's bigger, so top
well, that's
like
the thing.
it's
Yeah,
sixth, six
if
maybe.
you have Mario, Metroid, Zelda, then you have freaking like Splatoon and
I
like
mean, Fire Emblem's
Pokemon and stuff
bigger.
like that.
Well, I'm not counting Pokemon because that's Game Freak, but I mean, for Nintendo owned, like wholly owned IPs, like I think it's Smash, Mario Kart, any Mario game, Zelda, Splatoon is fifth, Fire Emblem sixth for what
Well,
like just
possibly.
what they put out lately. Like I would say Donkey Kong is bigger as an IP, but they haven't put a Donkey Kong game out in 9 years. Um,
That's fairly true too, but I will say that because of the success that they had back around 2013 with Fire Emblem Awakening, that has what's led to the credence of how popular and also how much interesting the Fire Emblem franchise has gotten over this past 10 years.
yeah,
Had interesting games, had some great ass games inside that series as well over the past 10 years, not just from Awakening, but you also had good ones in regards to Fire Emblem Fates and also Three Houses, which that was one of my game of the years back around 2019, I think it
it
was.
was your game of the year 2019.
Yeah, and then like with Engage and stuff like that, it really doesn't surprise me that it's selling well so far. But at the same point, it's like, wow, it's in the top five. I'm
Yeah,
kind of happy about that sales going.
yeah. So hey, I'm curious how it's gonna do next month because it came out kind of late in the month too, didn't it?
Yes, it did
Yeah.
actually.
Yeah, so I wonder if it's going to have a tail there for it. FIFA 23 being 4, Madden NFL 23 being 3. Number 2, um, Dead Space. Selling extremely
Yeah,
well. Um, I hope I hope Dead Space finally, getting the flowers I think it deserved here. It's like, I mean, the review of the games are always, especially 1 and 2, back in the original games, uh, were always reviewed really, really well. This game reviewing just as well as those ones, if not actually probably higher than the previous games. Um, and yeah, I mean, I'm glad that like the sales numbers are like finally backing it up. Um,
yep,
so yeah, I mean, like January. I mean, January is not the month that used to be in the last 4 or 5 years. I would say January has actually been a pretty good month for games. I mean, we've got 4 brand new games in here, and I mean, you'd argue that they're all pretty big games. I mean, maybe One Piece to a lower extent. Forspoken, I mean, for review wise, not the big is definitely not the biggest game, but for a marketing budget and the power, the juice I had behind it, a big game. So Dead Space being number 2, that's awesome. Glad seeing it's finally getting its flowers here. Number 1, no shock, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2022. So overall though, I mean, pretty awesome list. Yeah, I mean like I know there's been some discussion about Hi-Fi Rush not being in here, but that was a Game Pass game. That was also a Shadow Drop game that came out, I believe, on like the 27th or something like that. It was one of the very last days of the month for the NPD, so I'm not shocked. Like even though it was actually like selling really well on Steam, um I don't know. Maybe that's part of the reason why it's not in here, and maybe the reason why it's not gonna be on next month either. But I mean, give us what's kind of your thoughts looking at this list here.
honestly, it's a pretty solid list. There's a lot of new releases in the month of January. That's something that's caught me off guard, even over the past
Yeah.
couple of years, to where we maybe have one or two releases that are majorly inside of January, but coming out swinging. I mean, granted, I'm fairly surprised how high, like, say, Fire Emblem Engage is like placed, as well as One Piece Odyssey, but like Dead Space selling well. I thought that is really isn't too much of a surprise, but at the same time, it's like if it dethroned Call of Duty for the month of January, I think that would be surprising the most.
Yeah,
But
only Elden
I'm just
Ring
happy.
coming out would have done that. Yeah, but I think that
But
mean
yeah,
Dead Space number two is probably the best you can hope for. I think what's shocking, you look at this, like Electronic EA has 5 games in the top 20. Um,
yeah,
I think they have more than Nintendo actually. One, two, three. Yeah, three. Yeah, they have more than. I don't remember the last time this has happened where we've had a, a publisher put out more games
huh.
on the top 20 list than Nintendo in a very long time. Um,
No, not for years,
yeah,
dude.
I'd say
I at
since
least wouldn't think.
since like maybe like the late 2017 era. I don't think we've ever seen a somebody outsell them. So, and yeah, obviously a lot of them are sports games, but you have like Need for Speed and Dead Space being on here. And I've been saying this for a while. Like EA, they've been kind of turning things around here. Just from well, they've always been probably the biggest, at worst second biggest, neck and neck with Activision for a third party publisher.
Yeah,
But it's always been, it's like they've definitely, like, the thing that, like, we talk about, like, Activision has failed to do, as like creating new IPs or like taking care of their other IPs, like, other than Call of Duty. Like EA's done a good job of like taking care of like the Madden and the FIFAs and the NHL. Like, not the greatest job. Like, there's definitely, fans out there that want them to do better, but people are still buying them. Those games are still doing very, very well. But they've also, like, that, like, they've been killing it with, like, like, they've definitely changed. Where, like, we look at, like, Star Wars, like, we're getting, Jedi Fallen Order. Now we're looking at Jedi Survivor, Dead Space,
yeah.
It Takes Two, Wild Hearts. Like, they're like really
They are
expanding that.
attempting to actually put out good single player games once again.
Yeah, like, it's took a little bit to get there, but, like, hey, like, they're slowly but surely becoming one of, like, my personal favorite. I mean, obviously I love Madden, but even if we take Madden out of it, like, they're becoming one of my favorite publishers, developers, whatever you want to say, um, out
They're
there.
getting back to what they used to be back when around like the mid 2010s, I would think.
Yeah,
Or
yeah,
no, not mid 2010s, but
mid two
like
thousands.
mid 2000s, late
Yeah, like that.
like
We're
late
in that, like,
2000s.
Mirror's Edge, Dead Space era. We're like, man, they're putting out some cool shit. But
Yeah,
it's awesome that, not only are they putting out some cool shit, but those games are selling, and they're not only selling, but, like, critically, like, It Takes Two being the game of the year for Game Awards
mm,
in 2020. Dead Space being really awesome. Fallen Order being a Game of the Year nominee and selling extremely well and being critically acclaimed. So yeah, I mean, they're killing it, and like I said, like, like Jedi, uh, Sur- Fall, Fall, Jedi Survivor, Jedi Survivor. I hate that fucking name. It's so stupid. But I'm actually really excited for that game. So yeah, yeah. Who would have thought? 2 years ago, I'd be saying that about EA. But hey, man, you gotta give them some props when you see it. So that's me doing it there. But
nice.
Gables, let's move on here. Let's about some E3 news going here. So Ubisoft did announce that they will be attending E3 this year. They did
Right.
say that they'll be doing some sort of event. They said they have lots to show, but no, they didn't say if it's going to be like a Ubisoft Forward or if it's going to be like a. Are they doing like a digital one? Or are they going to do like are they doing a like a in-person event? Like, what are they doing? But they said they have lots to show, and I was like, I know we've done this in the past, like especially recently, but I went down and I was like, I looked up kind of like everything that they've announced that's in development so far, and
Uh-huh.
I went down and I looked in some pretty credible sources of like stuff that's been rumored to happen. Um, but so we some of the things, so decent sized list here. So Division Heartland, that's a free to play game that's in development. We have Skull and Bones that was supposed to,
Yep.
it's been delayed I think 9 times now, and it's supposed to come out early fiscal year next year. So that means probably somewhere between April and June of this year. Assassin's Creed Mirage, no release date. That was originally I think supposed to come out in like April. Um,
Hmm.
or like early 2023, and we just don't have a date.
We haven't
Uh,
heard anything else
no.
more about it.
And what's interesting is they're actually selling this game at $50. So it's funny. I still love the fact that they're marketing this game as like it's a it's back to the basics of Assassin's Creed, and it's like it's a smaller game. Um, it's funny to me. It's like, hey, we realize it, but also like we're gonna keep doing the thing that you know uh, some people are like kind of complained about. But Assassin's Creed's bigger now than it was back when I loved it, so I get it, I guess. Um, Avatar: Frontiers of Pandora, that was supposed to come out last like November, or like holiday, and they delayed it, and this because they wanted to come out around the movie. They delayed it. We still have not actually officially seen gameplay for it. Um, Assassin's Creed Infinity, codename Rex, and codename Red, and codename Hex. We know about they announced all that stuff, but those games have been rumored forever. Hex is like the witchcraft Assassin's Creed game. Codename Red, I believe, is the samurai game. They've also there's a Assassin's Creed VR game in development. There is Beyond Good and Evil 2, which they've stated is still in development. Prince of Persia remake, which we know is development hell. They had to totally change and basically restart development like a year or so ago. Project U, which is a co-op shooter, it's in closed playtesting right now. Um, Splinter Cell remake. They announced there's a Star Wars game that's in development from the Division devs, Massive Studios. X Defiant, which is that uh, like a Call of Duty looking free to play shooter, and then there's a Immortal Phoenix Rising sequel that Jeff Grubb leaked last year. A room kind of talked about last
Oh
year.
yeah,
I can't remember who was it. Is it Greek mythology? Greek mythology was the first one, wasn't it?
it was Greek mythology. Yes.
Okay, 'cause it's a different mythology and there's a different name to it. It's like immortal something. It's like immortal something though. It was like then they're sticking with the immortal name, but they change like after the colon part. Um, but that's pretty much all we know. We know they've canceled like 10 games and like almost all of those unannounced. Maybe the Immortal game is one of the games that was canceled. There's a couple of VR games we know that got canceled. There's like they have like 12 battle royale games in development, a bunch of free to play games in development that they've canceled. Um, I don't know. I mean, like I said, they have a lot to show, and I believe they have a lot to show. But is this doing anything for you, Gables? This list?
I'll be perfectly honest with you, man. I mean,
Oh, Far Cry 7 and the Far Cry multiplayer game. Forget about those. Go ahead.
as far as they having a lot to show, I mean, granted, I would understand and probably believe they probably do have a lot to show in regards to whether or not a lot of this stuff is going to be far out or if it's going to be releasing this year. I mean, that remains to be seen. Because out of these supposed rumors about what they could potentially show, I could possibly legitimately see maybe two main game stuff releasing this year, other than like say Assassin's Creed Mirage.
Yeah.
But oh man, this is not really going to do much to me for me, Tyler, until I actually see them in action.
Yeah.
Because they can go forth and say, "Oh, okay, we're going to do this Immortal Phoenix Rising sequel and stuff like that," but unless this thing absolutely blows me away instead of a different type of like oh god, a different type of setting or something like that, other than like the Greek mythology
Well.
stuff, then
Oh yeah.
eh,
Yeah. Yeah.
then yeah, probably not going to be too interested in that. I mean, I'm really not too much of a fan of like free to play games, but I am interested in seeing how Assassin's Creed Mirage does. Obviously, I'm kind of interested in seeing if they even make mention of Beyond Good and Evil 2, which I do not believe they will for one moment. And also kind of interested in seeing how that Prince of Persia remake is faring, or even if they want to suggest anything in regards to
Yeah.
that,
I feel like that's
because
like
that's
it's almost like a
trouble.
Metroid Prime 4 situation where it's like maybe just don't talk about it until like you're ready to like hey, it's coming out in 3 months type of situation.
Well, yeah, unless you're gonna run the risk of being like Beyond Good and Evil 2, to where you show that one reveal trailer and then say hardly anything about it for like 5 years.
Remember Gables, we had that Joseph Gordon-Levitt part where like the next year where he showed up, it's like, hey, we want people to make art for our game.
Uh-huh.
And like that was like the very next year. That was like 6 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, I know, right? It's such a crazy ass thing a long time ago to where that happened, and yet we still haven't heard anything in regards to a lot of these things that were announced.
yeah. Um, I mean, yeah. I just like you look at I'm seeing a lot of Assassin's Creed here. A lot of like Tom Clancy stuff. Um, it's the thing we keep talking about. Like, I just feel like this studio, this company is just lost. Um, and like they're in this weird place. It's kind of like they're in an Activision place, but like they have more IPs. Obviously, we talk about Activision, put all the eggs in the basket for Call of Duty to keep that going as long as possible, and they're finally getting to the end of the road there. But maybe not to the end of
In
the road, but
ways,
like they sacrificed everything to keep Call of Duty going. Um, what were we gonna say?
like I was going to say, it's like I feel like they've lost their way on a lot of this stuff,
Yeah, I
but
mean,
it's more akin to management as opposed to anything else.
yeah. It's the thing that we talk about. I mean, end of the 360 PS3 generation, beginning of PS4 Xbox One generation, they were the ones setting the trends,
Hmm.
and somewhere along the way, they have now just been chasing trends. And like they put a game out this week, Gables. Did you know that?
Oh yeah?
It's like
No,
Oddballers or something. I don't even know what it
no.
is. Never even heard of it.
I
Um,
didn't even know that game existed until you said
I
something
I'm sure
about
they
it.
showed it and we've talked about it at one point, but we just totally they just put it out like a week or two ago. They put a game
Yeah.
out and I don't know anything about it. I don't know what it's called. Um, that roller derby game they put out last year that I'm totally blanking on.
Oh God.
Roller Champions, like that got more fanfare than that game did. Yeah, I don't know. It's baffling. Yeah, it sucks because like Ubisoft, like there was that stretch there where I love like all in on Far Cry games, all in on Assassin's Creed games. And it's like I'm just so burnt out on all of them. I mean, I'm there's a part of me that is like, uh, I'm like that sicko meme, with looking at the Assassin's Creed Mirage thing where I'm just holding that hope, like, yes, yes, like I want it to be really good, and I want to be excited for that game, because I've been talking about this for years now, where it's like I miss the old school Assassin's Creed games, because where you actually like we're an assassin kind of stuff. And like I get like they're much bigger now. They sell way better. They're critically more acclaimed. Like it's definitely a selfish thing of me. Right? And there's definitely an audience of it. It's not just me that's like that. But like there's a big,
Right.
but those games are much more popular now because of they went the Witcher 3 route than with the original ones were Skull and Bone. It's kind of a joke at this point. It's you just need to put it out. Um, I don't know. Yeah, I
Oh, and by the way, if you really want to know what Oddballers is, it's a multiplayer dodgeball game.
huh. I'm actually a little more intrigued now. Is it like free to play?
I'm
Let's
not
look
too
at this.
sure. Wait. Go online, local, fast, easy to learn to find, master dodgeball, blah blah blah.
Odd.
Over the top sports action party game. Oddballers challenges players to compete, blah blah
Oh, I do remember this. I'm looking at screenshots now. I do remember this game. This is a Ubisoft game, huh?
Yes, apparently so.
Okay. Well, that's sad. Okay. Well, let's move on. I got nothing else to add to that one. But hey, you know what? Like them being E3, like hey, it makes sense. Like they go to every E3. Um, I guess I would rather have more shows from big publishers than less.
Right.
Even like it's just more chances of things to be excited for, more things to be excited for, more chances of like something cool to show up. And hey, like if they have one or two games that show up and impress, like that's all they need. They just need a couple games that look really good that get people excited again to feel good about Ubisoft. And god damn it, I'm rooting for them. I really want them to like turn that shit around. Not for Yves Gamol, fuck that guy. But for the people that work there, I just feel so sorry for them. Uh,
Hmm.
and I hope they can turn that ship around. Not Skull and Bones. That's not a reference to Skull and Bones. That ship has sunk a long time ago. Um, I'm gonna delete that Oddballers. Um, I'm gonna delete that from my Google search too. I don't want that to show up again. Um, that really upsets
Oh.
me. But Gables, let's move on to some other news this week. Um, a pretty good PS Plus game catalog they announced for February.
Mm.
For from PlayStation here with the extra tier and with some we got Horizon Forbidden West. The
Yeah.
1 year anniversary was this week. Now it's putting that
Yep.
on. It's on the extra game catalog. One of my favorite games of last year. The Quarry, another one of my favorite games of last year. Supermassive people. I'll talk about more about their other game, Devil in Me, later. But that game was awesome, and I highly recommend that if you're a Supermassive fan. Resident Evil 7, obviously another fantastic game. Um, I'm sure most people played it by now, but hey, if you haven't, like that game is fucking awesome. Play it. Outriders. That game is incredibly cool. That was a game that like that's the Bulletstorm people. The people can fly. Made that. They
Yep.
made like Gears of War Judgment. I loved Outriders. The game. It's like it's a popcorn game. You know, it's like a fun action flick game. Like it's junk food. Um, but I had a lot of fun with that. It's like it has all the vibes of like a game as service thing, but it's not a game as like there's none of the game as service bullshit in it, which I loved a lot. Because like there's a lot of like games service games I like to play, but it's like I hate when all the games of service part gets in the way, and they don't have that. That game is just incredibly fun. A lot of it's like a Gears of War style shooter, but you can play with two other friends, and you have like powers, and it's fucking pretty cool. Just the storyline, the story is awful. I'm actually been like really tempted to like buy the DLC because I really like that game. It's on Game Pass too, but
Hmm.
I love that game. It's one of the reasons I actually it was one like the Medium and the Outriders was like coming to Game Pass is like a lot of the reasons why like that finally broke me down to buy an Xbox Series S. And I don't regret it. I don't regret that purchase from playing those two games. Scarlet Nexus, actually a game that I played a decent amount of, and I actually loved the gameplay of it. I just hated it because like they kept doing the thing I hate a lot of like Japanese games do, where like they kept the story just kept getting away. Walk 2 feet. Here's a 10-minute cutscene. All right, cool. All right, now you can play again. Walk 5 feet. Here's another 5-minute cutscene. The gameplay in that game is amazing. I just wish I could play it more. Like that was my main complaint. Is I put like I think like 5 or 6 hours into it, and I think I actually played for like an hour. Um, Borderlands 3.
Hmm.
People love Borderlands. Tekken 7. Do people like Tekken 7, Gables?
Yes, I do like Tekken
Okay,
7.
cool. I honestly I didn't know. I heard some people talk shit about Tekken after the Tekken 8 thing because people were like, "Hey, finally putting out a good Tekken game." Um, Ace Combat 7, Skies Unknown. People love Ace Combat. Earth Defense Force 5. We can just move on from that one. Uh,
Oninaki. Yeah.
Orinaki. I don't know what that is. Gables, you obviously.
That's yeah, that's an RPG
It's
as
a
well as
Square Enix
Lost
game.
Sphere. Yeah, all three of the games that are gonna be listed right here, Oninaki, Lost Sphere, and also I Am Setsuna
Setsuna, yeah. Yeah.
are from like Square Enix and stuff like that. That's a trilogy of games, essentially, from what I understand.
Okay. I remember the people were excited for I Am Setsuna. Forgotten City. A lot of people's game of the year for 2021.
Huh.
Kind of came out of nowhere. It's like a roguelike style. It's like yeah, oh yeah, you're in a time loop, and like if anybody lies in the city, like the whole like everybody dies. So you get like it's a mystery where you got like you're like reliving the same day over and over again, this time loop over and over again, to solve it and stop the person from lying that kills everybody. But moving on to the premium stuff here, The Legend of Dragoon, Wild Arms
Mm-hmm.
2, Harvest Moon, Back to Nature, Destroy All Humans, which is oddly enough the PS4 port that was the PS2 game that they put out on the PSN store a while back. But we don't always talk about the big drops, but man, like just coming off hot here with like I said, Horizon, the Quarry, Resident Evil 7, Outriders, Scarlet Nexus, Borderlands 3, Tekken 7, um, Resident Evil 7. A really, really, really good list here. Like, um,
Absolutely.
yeah, I mean, I'm shocked at how soon they're putting Horizon uh, on here. Like, if
I'm actually surprised they addressed a lot of different tiers in regards to their services, not just the major AAA games and stuff, but also in terms of like classic retro stuff as well, because a lot of people were looking forward to playing Legend of Dragoon on the PS5, and man, yeah,
yeah,
that headline's like a Sony first party game right
yeah,
there.
yeah. Remember that was like remember when like I worked at a video game store a long time ago. We sell PS1 games. That was like one of the popular ones. Legend of Dragoon people would ask for. I
Yep,
know like Wild Arms 1 and 3 was already on the list. Was already on the premium tier. But
yep,
now they added 2, and people heard that 2 was the best one. So I don't know. Um, yeah, I mean, incredible list there. Good February for them, and definitely feels like they are taking this tier a lot more seriously. I guess we're coming up to like that 1 year mark. I
yes.
think the 1 year mark. Maybe it's June. but we're getting closer. So like, but the renew part, we're getting close to that renew. It's kind of like we talk about with the Nintendo when like we get close to that 1 year mark. We get to that September October area. It's like, well, okay, we got now something big here to kind of, people want to, give people re up. So maybe like, hey, maybe we shake this, seriously for a few months here for people that want to pay that $100 fee, make them feel good about it. Um, Some I meant to talk about last week, till I forgot to though. Hi-Fi Rush, obviously made by the Evil Within people. Um, they have a teaser in their game here, uh,
Hmm.
for Evil Within 3. So it's actually towards the end of the game that you like get a quick shot of like you going up an elevator, and it says like, you're going to floor 776, Kale's office. Today's weather, good enough. I like that. News: sequel to popular survival horror game franchise announced. Uh, Obviously, I am a huge um, Evil Within fan. I love one and two, and I was kind of, actually, I didn't realize this till recently that Ghostwire Tokyo was originally supposed to be Evil Within 3, and then it kind of turned into something different, and they just made it Ghostwire Tokyo. But
Ah.
I don't. I mean, I'm hopeful that this is a real thing and not like just a joke, or like, hey, like just to fuck with people. Like, I don't know. I know like people like
Hmm.
to, talk some shit about Evil Within 1 and 2, or like it's not like the biggest game. It's not, I don't think it's on the part of like where Resident Evil has gone lately, but like during that era there when there was nobody else giving out survival horror games. It was just Evil Within, and those games were actually really really good. And they kind of held the fort for a while there, before we finally got we kind of got Dead Space and we got all these Resident Evil games. So please God be real, please God be real, Gables. But I meant, we talked about this last week. We were talking about like there's the PlayStation state of play rumors going on, and I was talking about a bunch of games that were, um, like, hey, these are games they've announced, or they've talked about previously at state of plays and showcases that aren't out yet. One of the games I
Yeah.
mentioned was Goodbye Volcano High. That was a game supposed to come out in 2021. It was shown off of one of the original PlayStation showcases, but like one of the lead writers was found to be doing a lot of shitty shit, and they like kind of kicked it. They fired him, and then they kind of like were rewriting a lot of the story. Um, so actually, I went after the next day, I went up and I went on their Twitter account, the people making it. I can't remember the name of the studio, and they actually had a trailer they put out like just a few weeks ago, uh, showing off the game, a little bit of the game. That's that dinosaur people game people don't remember.
Hmm.
And that game they said is coming in summer 2023. So um,
Okay.
yeah, a little bit of something there. So next up, Final Fantasy Pixel remasters. These were announced a couple years ago, and they're said they were coming to like the consoles soon afterwards. It's been like a year and a half,
Yep.
and they're only on Steam. During the Super Bowl, they finally on the Square Enix store they put the Final Fantasy 7 or the Final Fantasy 1 through 6 collection pixel remasters up on their website. You can pre-order it now. I think it's like
Oh wow.
$40, $75. I was way off. Holy shit. But hey, there's 6 games there. I don't know, but yeah,
Hmm.
no date. But hey, the fact that we're tentatively May 31st, so that's nothing. But that's something that they actually have pre-orders out now. But I don't know. I mean, Gables, you want to pay $75 for those?
Oh boy.
I mean,
That's
I think
really
they had them. They were
there.
selling them a la carte. I think for $15. So
Oh, okay. Well, that's going to be interesting to think about.
yeah,
But hey, not ruling out the possibility.
yeah. And they did also say they're going to fix the font because that's the thing everybody hated in the Pixel remasters.
Yeah, the
Um,
font that looked like the mobile.
yeah, they're changing that, so it's not gonna be like that. Dead Space, or Jesus, Dead Space, Dead Island 2, which was originally delayed till April 28th, is now coming out April 21st. They moved it obviously because Star Wars got delayed to April 28th. Um, so hey, they bumped it up a week. But I don't know. I mean, it's smart to just get away from that. It's better to come out before than after, because you delay it a week, then you're fighting Redfall and Zelda. But hey, you're still fighting Star Wars, and then there's a Horizon DLC coming out that same week as well, and also should come out the same day as Advance Wars 1 and 2. So not really a lot of, I mean, I don't know. And then if you delay it, I was like, I was thinking about like, yeah, well, I was looking, I'm like, man, maybe you can delay it. What if you delay it to like, late May or mid May? I'm like, well, fuck. You're still fighting Zelda. You're still fighting potentially Redfall. But then also you're fighting Suicide Squad. So you're just kind of fucked. And then you go to June, and then you're fighting Street Fighter,
And Final
potentially
Fantasy.
Final Fantasy, potentially Starfield. Um,
Yeah,
you
they're
just,
pretty much screwed no matter what they do. So moving up a week does not set out of the question.
yeah, I mean, it's probably their best move, I guess. We talked about earlier AEW Fight Forever. It's finally rated. It is rated T for teen. No release date, but hey, finally got rated. That was something I talked about last week. That's the big holdup for this game has had for a while now about coming out because they're trying. It was like kept coming back as an M rating, and they're trying to like fix shit to get it so it become T for teen. Finally happened. So maybe we get the ball rolling. That game finally fucking coming out. Embracer expects 5 games in 5 years from Crystal Dynamics. AAA games.
What?
AAA games. Um, yes. So so we know 3 of them. Um, Fable. I mean, assuming they mean the games they're like support are primarily working on. But right now we know
Okay.
they're working on Fable, Perfect Dark, and Tomb Raider. Um, Fable and Perfect Dark have been in development for years now. Fable much longer. But they're a support studio in Fable, I believe. Perfect Dark, they're the main people on.
Yeah.
Um, Tomb Raider, they just announced last year they're like doing like a soft reboot thing for them. No idea what the other 2 games are. But they expect all 5 of these games to be out by 2028.
Okay.
I don't.
Okay. Really, there's not much too much to say about that. It was like okay, they're aiming for 5 games in 5 years with the subsidiary things helping other developers and stuff, and
Yeah,
we know 3 of the 5, so it's who knows what the other 2 are going to be.
yeah. I don't. I mean, Embrace Group has probably invested more money in gaming, buying up every fucking studio for the last like 5 years, and I'm starting to wonder if maybe they don't understand how video games work.
Probably,
Yeah,
most likely.
yeah. But anyways, um, 4A Games, who makes the Metro games, who I love the first 2 games, but they it sounds like there's going to be a reveal sometime this year for the next Metro game, and possibly coming out this year, most likely next year. Um, yeah, I mean we haven't had one. Metro Exodus came out 2019, so I mean, it's been 4 years now. Came out like I think it was March or February of 2019, so it's been like 4 years. And they had a lot of issues. I was actually reading. Funnily enough, before I heard the rumor, I was like, because I was watching some Stalker 2 gameplay for that game. Because I'm actually looking forward to that game. And I'm like, oh man, I wonder what Metro's up to because they're both Ukraine based. And I was scrolling through like their tweets and stuff like that, and I was reading that they actually had to like um, move completely out of Ukraine. Like they're the building they're working out of, uh, like just has like was like in and out of power. And like obviously they're part of like they're in the main the like the the country's capital. So the one
Oh wow.
that was getting bombed a lot. So they like a lot of their team like they because they're owned by Embracer. I believe it's Embracer that owns them, um, or one of the companies that's owned by Embracer. That they told everybody in the team that they can move anywhere that like and continue to work for them. They can move to another place where one of their studios is at. They can work from there. Um, so that studio 4A has been having a lot of issues. So hopefully everything's getting back on track. Hopefully everybody's safe. But hey, that'd be awesome. I love Metro 1 and 2. I was not a big fan of Exodus. I still liked it, but nowhere near that level. But hey, like, it's cool to see something here soon. And Gables, a Pokemon Mystery Dungeon might be getting revealed soon. Might be coming out even as soon as well. Um, so I guess on like the name of the company that makes it, looking it up here, is it Sunsoft? Chunsoft.
Chunsoft, yeah,
Yeah,
Spike Chunsoft.
yeah. So on the back end, like there's some files that were found on their website, with the Pokemon Mystery Dungeon in there. No idea if it's
Hmm.
like a remake because I know they remade one of the ones that was on like DS or something like that a couple years
Yeah,
ago.
they also had the latest Pokemon Mystery Dungeon game on the Switch. That
Yeah,
one was also one of their collaborative works as well.
yeah, and those games I've never reviewed particularly well, but I imagine they sell pretty well
Yeah.
because they keep making them. But apparently those could be coming out fairly soon, or we could be hearing about. We know what Pokemon Day is next week, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. Like on the 20 ooh, so I want to say 20 oh gosh, maybe 27th or
Twenty
something.
seventh. Yep, you had it. You hit it. Not next week, but the week after.
Yep.
So I'm assuming we're gonna get something we typically get like a Pokemon event of some sort. Usually um, on Pokemon Day, like last year they announced Scarlet and Violet, so maybe we get something there. But I don't know. I mean, is that tickling your fancy at all, Gables?
For regards to Pokemon Mystery Dungeon, it's never been something that's been interested to me. Like really not too interesting to me though. But
Yeah,
I'm more interested in seeing what's going to be going on the exact Pokemon Day itself to see if there's any other announcements besides potentially a new Mystery Dungeon game.
yeah,
Because if the announcement for DLC for Scarlet and Violet gets announced there, that'd be nice.
yeah. So yeah, that's not this moment Monday, but the following Monday. Yeah, there's been that rumor that there's gonna be a 4-part DLC, so that could be awesome. Hopefully, the first 3 parts aren't bullshit though. Um,
Yeah, true.
yeah, they're like, hey, we're gonna give you the hub to Splatoon 1 Ecopolis. That's DLC pack number 1. Still can't believe that's the thing. Liza P is coming in August. There's actually been a cool like IGN's had this cool like fan fest thing going on this weekend where
Yeah.
they're showing off a bunch of gameplay, a bunch of developer interviews. We've seen like some WrestleQuest gameplay. Liza P got a new trailer. Redfall was there. AEW 5 Forever had some more gameplay. A lot of cool games getting shown off here. But they had a new trailer for Liza P. That's that Pinocchio game that looks like Bloodborne. Um, that's coming. That's coming to Game Pass. It's got a release window now of August. So
Yep.
yeah. Um, I don't know, but yeah, that's kind of all the news we got this week. Gables. Let's get
Yeah.
to what we've been playing, buddy. Why don't we start with
Sure.
you? What have you been playing?
All right. So basically, because of the work week and stuff, I've been playing a little bit of stuff. But I've been mostly decided to play a bit of like handheld stuff on my Switch. So I decided to turn on the Game Boy Advance app and stuff and see what I can go through and play some more. So Wario Land 3, that's the game that I loved on the Game Boy Color. Started playing a little bit through it. I feel like I'm near halfway through the game already. I'm remembering a bunch of different things I used to do as a kid to get past certain parts and stuff. And it's really fun. I mean, obviously the pacing of the game is pretty like straightforward. You're going through collecting treasures from each little bit of levels and stuff. But like in certain other games and stuff, you get to go back to the same levels in order to try to unlock other types of like keys or artifacts or even like specific moves that Wario can learn throughout the different game and stuff. It's kind of essentially kind of like a like a Mario version of like a Metroidvania in some aspects because it's like you get to go back to certain levels with like new power-ups or new weapons or new type of things like added onto it and stuff and like you get to clear out you get to solve that specific puzzle for that level and then move on to the next one and the whole key aspect of it is to collect these 6 music boxes in order to present to this one mysterious figure you got to reveal the identity to and stuff so you can get out of the music box but I it's one of those games, man. It's classic. I remember playing this game for such a long time back when I was a kid. But yeah, I'm just revisiting that and stuff. Still halfway through that, but I did end up beating a game for the Game Boy Advance, and that was the one that I know you don't really say too well, and that Kurin, that game.
Kur 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 kur. Just fucking talk.
So Kurin is one of those it's it's an interesting game, right? So where it's like you control this device and stuff to where you're moving the platforms and stuff, and you got to navigate around these different obstacles, these obstacle courses in order to get to the final end goal and stuff. It starts out fairly easy, where you get to like wrap around specific corridors and stuff like that until finally you meet the goal and stuff. And the whole goal aspect of this game is trying to save your siblings and stuff from either being lost or being captured and stuff from other different type of worlds. I think there's like about 10 worlds, roughly 9 or 10 worlds in all, but they're separated through like three different stages. So each of them have their own different types of navigational style, like different types of patterns, different type of gimmicks and stuff. So the first couple of worlds and stuff are easy, and then they all of a sudden they proceed to like the medium type of stuff, and then once you get towards like World 6 on, it becomes incredibly like more difficult in terms of navigation because not only are you having to try to wrap around different objects, you got to go through the timing by holding down like the A button and stuff so you can move quicker, or you have to somehow bounce your machines like panel and stuff like that off of springs to go the opposite direction and try to navigate around specific other ways. It got to a point to where it's like I started ended up like I started with not having any hits in the beginning parts of the levels, and then towards the end of them, I stopped. I started to ignore them because I wanted to navigate and go through the different puzzles. Like I wanted to just complete the stages. So finally, when I got to the last couple of portions of it, yeah, I was honestly satisfied with the last level because the last couple of levels were actually fairly easier for me because at that point I had memorized, oh, okay, if I bounce off this one spring, I can go through this angle, or if I bounce off the other spring, I can get to another angle, and I try to do better in regards to speeding through to the end goal on that one. And all in all and stuff, it's just basically the whole premise of it is like you are a bird that's called like Kurin, who controls this vehicle and stuff and tries to save your siblings and stuff from all these various other like happenings and stuff in these different levels. And after the third, like right when you get to the third level, you have to save them. You can actually save them on the game on the map or stuff like that in the middle of the obstacle course, and then you have to navigate and stuff and complete that in order to save them. And it's kind of funny after each time you save the little siblings and stuff like that, it just cuts away to like a little cutscene and stuff to where you have this wreath or some shape like a heart, and all of a sudden you have the little like siblings and stuff like that pop in and stuff. So that's how many worlds you can keep track of from that aspect. But I feel like the gameplay is pretty fun. It's a fun distraction in terms of a puzzle game. It can get difficult at the later levels, but also it can be difficult if you're trying to go and try to complete it super fast in terms of like a speed run or whatsoever. But the precision, yeah, you have to be pretty precise in regards to getting like navigating throughout some of the puzzles. I was finding it some. I found that some parts of it were pretty easy, but in regards to figuring out until late in the game that I could actually hold down the A button and just zoom past certain aspects of it, I'm like, yeah, I could have. Yeah, that definitely would have helped me out a lot. But oh boy. Other than that, though, I've only downloaded the combat demo for Like a Dragon Ishin. It's yeah, yeah, man. It's like it's been fairly light this week in regards to my gameplay stuff. Got a lot of things going on at work, got a lot of things and stuff, so I hadn't really gotten as much gaming in as I really wanted to. But that's it for me. But Tyler, what have you been playing?
Um, so I've played a couple things here. I was hoping to have Double Enemy beaten this week, but it's one of those games I want to play like when it's dark out. It's the Supermassive people, the Until Dawn uh,
Yeah.
devs. This is their fourth installment of the Dark Anthology pictures. Um, and I talk about the first two, Man and Dan, a little hope, a little hope. Um,
Yes.
sounds
A
right.
little hope for some.
We're fine. They're like six, sevens. And like House of Ashes was really good. That was like an eight. The Kuri was like a nine.
Yes.
I feel like they've been getting better and better over the last few years after Until Dawn being like, like on grading on a curve with their scale. Until Dawn's a 10 out of 10 for them. Um, and I thought about going into Devil in Me. It came out November 18th, same day as Pokemon. And I remember
Hmm.
going into it. I'm like, I said I was concerned about this game because typically these games like Dark Picture Anthologies always come out second half of October because it's a horror game, and obviously want to come out around that Halloween time. This game coming out in mid late November was concerned me, and then the game came out, and kind of a lot of the stuff out there was the game just wasn't running super well, especially co-op, but a lot of technical issues. So I'm like, well, I'm gonna wait then. Obviously, there was enough games to like tie me over really, so I never got around to it during 2022. Um, but finally started playing it. I'm probably about 4 hours in. These games aren't super duper long. They're like 5 6 hours. They're full price games. I think they're like it was 40 or $50. I think this game was.
Mhm.
So not, whatever, good price game. Like even like the Quarry was $70, but I think that was like 10 hours. So but yeah, every game's got a different theme. Man Dan, you're like on a ghost ship. Little Hope, you're in like this haunted town. House of Ashes, you're like in this underground like mining area that I don't want to spoil that one for people that are interested, but uh, this one you're actually it's like H. Holmes, who is like in real life he was like called like the first American serial killer, where like he killed like I think it was like he's been tied to like 200 murders, and like
Oh,
I believe it was the late 1800s. This happened, but like he was caught in Chicago, and like he ran these hotels that like had like trap doors or like hidden like hallways that he would wander around so he can like quickly get through the hotels, and like he can like or they had two-way mirrors so he can like watch the people in like these little secret hallways, or he had like he can actually like change, like he can kind of trap people, and like he was just
right.
big on like torture and murder. He's a terrible person. Um, and so like that's kind of like what they're going for here. Where like the big thing going into it was like kind of stuff we saw. It's like, oh, it's like Saw, like they're doing that. Like no, it's actually Agent Jones, which I guess is like correlated a little bit, but interesting. So like kind of the story is like you have Charlie, Mark, Aaron, Kate, Jamie. It plays five people, um, and you guys are like you're like making a TV show about H. Holmes, and you're like a struggling production company. It's run by Charlie. Then
Hmm.
like Aaron is like his assistant. Jamie is like the crew, like she sets the stuff up. Mark is like the guy that runs the camera, and then Katie is like the on screen, like the host of the show. And they're like putting this show together about H. Holmes. It's not coming very well together very well. Like they're like the company is about to get shut down because they're not making any money. They're about to get evicted from their studio, and they get a phone call, and this guy's like, hey, I actually own a property of one of like H. Holmes, like a property he used to run, and you go there and sets up shit. Shit happens, and now here we are in the thick of it. I'm not done with the game yet. I've lost one person. I lost Charlie, unfortunately. Um, but yeah, it's really cool. Like I love these style of games. Like I'm a huge fan of these games, even when like even the bad ones, like Little Hope. Not Little Hope was fine, but like Man of Dan was kind of bad. But I still enjoyed it for what it was. I like the game, like the kind of the stress it gives you, like the fun stress of like a fun, corny horror movie. These games have definitely there's a style to them. There's a pattern to them. Um, but I know that I still like them for that. Like the biggest issue I have with these games really always is like it always takes a bit to get going. It's like a horror, like like any like regular horror game or horror movie that you play or play when you watch. Where like there's always like the first like there's a part where like you get like there's these random characters you get introduced to that are not important to the story, but like they get killed off immediately by the whoever the main antagonist is,
Right.
and then cuts to you being introduced to the actual main cast, setup, like introduce, understand the characters of them, go to the area where all the shit goes down, and then the last like 2/3 of the movie is like where all the shit goes down. That's kind of the same issue here, but like not issue, but same thing here. But like it's kind of like it takes like a good like 90 minutes for shit to get started, 2 hours get going in these games because there's so much setup. So it's kind of like it's not boring, but it's definitely where like, all right, I just want like shit to get going here, because but there's so much character development. You gotta understand the world you're in, understand the characters you got going here. And this one, like the characters aren't fantastic, they're not great, but like I don't know. I don't expect great characters from these, but like also I'm like I've never been less intrigued by the characters in this.
Right.
I don't say never let like, man, those Man Medan characters were pretty awful. But I really like this game. I like the what we're in with like with the traps with like, the HH home style. Like I'm intrigued by like all that. I love like the feelings that these games give me. I love a lot. I really like this game. I don't know if I'm gonna put as of right now. I don't know if I'm gonna put it above like House of Ashes. I don't think I will. I still would say like Until Dawn is like number one. The Quarry number two. House of Ashes is still number three. And it's fighting for three. I would say. But like I love these style of games. Like this is definitely a very good one. Um, and like they actually just this week put an update out where you get a friend pass. So kind of like when we play It Takes Two,
Uh-huh.
Gables, or A Way Out, where like you only one person has to buy the game, and then you can play
Right.
online with another friend, and they don't have to own
Oh.
the game. You can like give them a pass, and then they can play the game with you,
Oh.
which is really cool. I because like this game Until Dawn really blew up because of Twitch, and these games were really popular on Twitch. I always like watching Easy Allies play these games. They always do like a PJ party thing when they play the game all in one sitting. They all get together and play it, and I always enjoy watching those. And it's always kind of cool to see like highlights and stuff like other people playing it, and like they kind of like they're really going into that direction, which is a smart move to do. This front pass thing is a really smart move where like you can play online and play couch co-op with anybody. This game, yeah, like I really like these games, and I've been seeing it on sale a lot for like 20, $30. Sometimes like GameFly, I think I have like 18. So if you are a fan that liked the Quarry or liked Until Dawn, and you're kind of jonesing for another one of those games, like this is definitely a pickup like that. I think they've been nailing it, and like um, I'm a little concerned about if they can keep the formula going, because obviously when they announced the plan of putting out one a year, that was before COVID hit
Hmm.
and delayed everything, and then obviously with Devil and Me getting delayed to mid-November, uh, and taking a little bit to actually finally being like, no, it wasn't a buggy mess, but definitely a lot of bugs. But I'm curious if they're able to keep this going. I hope they can, they because I really like these games, and it's cool to have these games to go back to every year. So, and last year getting two in one year was a nice surprise. And the other game I'm playing, this officially came out Friday, but people weren't talking about this game. Was available on EA Play, or if you have Game Pass. Gables, what we call Game Pass?
One of the best deals in gaming.
Not the one, not one of. What is this one of? Gables, what is Game Pass?
The best deal in
You're
gaming.
goddamn right. Don't fucking fuck with me. Trying to think, oh, I could sneak in this one of. No, it is the best deal in gaming.
I almost did too.
You did. Oof, boy. You sly son of a bitch. But yeah. So if you have Game Pass or you have EA Play, you can like a lot of the games that come out like 4 or 5 days in advance, and you can play it for 10 hours without buying the game. So with Wild Hearts, you can play the first chapter. Um, you can play that the first zone of the game.
Hmm.
You can't go into zone two, but you can play in there for 10 hours without buying the game. So Wild Hearts is made by the Mega Force people that made Dynasty Warriors. So it's like the Team Ninja people. This is also EA original game, so EA published it. It is very much their own like Monster Hunter game. And I've talked about like for a while now. Like the only real history I have with Monster Hunter is I played the 3DS demo they put out like a long time ago, and like the thing I've always heard about like the Monster Hunter games is like they're kind of like clunky, and like people love them, but like the way they run is always kind of clunky, and they just make a lot of weird like Monster Hunter World's like a great game, but like
Yes.
the online part of it and just the way a lot of it runs is like they just kind of make it unnecessarily difficult for themselves. And I'm like, okay, so but then Wild Heart, everything I was seeing from that, everything I was hearing about that, people like some preview events was like they kind of like it's like a more streamlined Monster Hunter game, and I put about 4 hours into it. You could like to beat the first chapter probably takes you about 3 hours, but I fucked around quite a bit. Also while playing this, but I really like this game, Gables. I'm
Ah,
stunned to
well, that's
say.
great.
I was actually like fully on board. Of like I played it all on Wednesday because I was off, and I just sat them like, oh, I'm gonna just play it for like an hour or so, and then I ended up just like pretty much over the course of like one sitting, play through the first chapter. But yeah, like I so kind of the big thing here is like they have a lot of things to know about. They have like if you're a Monster Hunter fan, they have a lot of the weapons that you would know, like bow and arrow. They have the hammer, the katana. Some of the cool things they add, when you're obviously hunting monsters. Some of the cool things they add though is like I can't remember what it's called, but basically like you have like these powers. It's almost kind of feels like it's a weird Fortnite Breath of the Wild situation where like Breath of the Wild
Okay.
starts off, they just give you like, hey, you have this power, boom, here you go, make it your own thing. But it also has like, but like it's like if like you're building, so it has like Fortnite stuff where like you can like, so you're fighting the monsters and you can like build like blocks. You can build enough where it makes like a wall, and when like
Right.
the enemy's charging at you, it can actually like stun them, and you can go and do a fuck ton of damage, or you can like do it and you can leap off of it and like do this big like giant like ground pound like attack, and it'll do a bunch of damage as well. There are also some other abilities you can get, like you get like a, it's kind of like a Death Stranding to it as well, where you can like build.
Hmm.
So like the, what is it called, like where you can like grapple. You can like grapple down to like an
Oh yeah,
area.
that's right.
You could put like grapples down, and then like, okay, well, I want to get down there, so I can just grapple and just shoot. And like you can build these throughout the map, and they stick around. You have campfires as well. You can use for fast travel, but it just adds all the elements where like you can like, it makes it so much easier to get around the areas. But also like when you're in the fights with the monsters, where it's like I have those blocks I can put down to like build the wall, or put the block down to like I could jump off of to do like a big major attack, or like if I want to get to like, you can like put down a spring, and you can like jump off of that and it'll like kind of launch you towards them almost, and like you can get to them faster or do a quick attack that way as well. But yeah, I'm just having like the way it runs is really is like, well, the way it runs, it, as far as like technically, has some issues, but I like the way like the gameplay is like, where it kind of like, it's all the buttons you expect. Like X does this tech,
Right.
Y does this tech. Like there's no like different for different sake, where it's like it is what I wanted it to be, where like I understand like all the button prompts, like it's quick to like every like doing all these different things, um works out. There's a lot of systems in the game though that can like feel a little overwhelming, where like it does have like you can cook, and you can like you like not only can you cook and like make recipes, but also like you can dry out meat. If you dry them out, they'll actually be better. You have like, you can just put a camp down and build like a little um, area for you can like actually upgrade your equipment. Um, but yeah, like I really like this game. Like I was, like I said, I was gonna like, because if you have EA Play or Game Pass, whatever, you get 10% off too. So it was like $62. I'm like, fuck yeah! Like I was like, all right, cool, I'm gonna buy this game. So, but I started watching some like YouTube videos about this game to like, for strategy, because I was like, I feel like there's a lot going on here and I'm missing some stuff. I want to understand this a little better, like smart things to do. I don't want to waste a bunch of stuff, like a bunch of my gear or whatever, on things I'm not gonna need later. And then I was reading, and some of the stuff I was seeing here was like, this game was like 60 hours. I'm like, oh, um, I'm like, well then, maybe I won't buy this game right now, because I'm looking at like the next um, few months here. It's pretty packed. But yeah, I like this game a lot, but it's like I look at like, Atomic Heart coming out next week.
Hmm.
Is like that's gonna take, that's that's taking I don't know. It's more important to me,
President.
President. Thank you, over Wild Heart. Like I really like this game. It does like, it has some frame rate issues, especially when you're fighting the monsters. Um, but yeah, I'm just like, man, like you got like a little buddy with you. It's kind of like, kind of like in the in Monster Hunter, you have like the little cat.
Mm.
They are not shying away from the fact that Monster Hunter is their what they are trying to go for here. But I feel like they streamlined a lot of things, where like it's easy to pick up. It feels like so far like it's easy pickup game, maybe a tough to master style game. But yeah, man, I had a blast with it, and it's like, man, I I'm like still like, I got that urge, I want to go back and play it, but it's just like, fuck. Uh, if it came out like, you know when there was nothing else going on, like, I'd be like, okay, I'm buying this game for sure. Like, but I feel like if I bought this game now and really got into it, um, with all the other stuff going on, It'd be one of those games where like I'll play for like 10, 15, 20 hours and then just kind of fall off on and never go back to. And I don't want that to happen. So like maybe in July, nothing's going on, and I go back to this game. Maybe hey, I can get it on sale too. But yeah, I really really like this game. And like I am personally, like I said, I never played Monster Hunter games. I was never looking because I played the demo, but there's never been like a me game. But this game so far, I am liking a lot. So yeah, like I said, if you have Game Pass, it is cross gen too. So if you have Game Pass or EA Play, you have zero reason not to play this game. So yeah, that's what I'm playing.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. But Gables, I think that's gonna wrap it up for this week. Thank you guys so much for watching, listening, whatever. We really appreciate it. If you're still here, like, follow, subscribe. If you're on YouTube, like I said, hit that like button. Hit the subscribe button, leave a comment. If you're, or you're an audio listener, hey, do the same thing. Like, follow, subscribe. You'll look down the description down below. You can see the links to all of our socials, our YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Apple Podcast, Spotify, all that fun stuff, Extra Life, all that. So we really, 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 really would appreciate it if you go check us out in those places. But I was your host. I was Tyler.
And I have been Colonel Gables. Until next time, everyone, thank you for listening to another fun filled episode of the Drunk Nerds podcast.
And hey, Gills.
Yeah,
Too sweet.
too sweet, man.
Bye, guys.
See ya.